All right, are we live, everyone? Welcome to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Startin Parker here, and it's really good to be back. We have not done a podcast in a few weeks. Life has just been very busy lately. And obviously with personal stuff, just haven't had time to really sit down with y'all to, take notes, collect notes, and sit down with you guys for, 45 minutes to an hour and talk about some stuff. So I want to start off the podcast by apologizing for not doing a review on the main series finale, Toledo, and not covering the West races at Madera or Las Vegas. I do want to apologize for that out of the gate. We'll briefly touch over those events, talk about some of the stuff that's going to be happening for ARCA in 2026. Venturini Motorsports closing down, we'll talk about that. And yeah, what 2026 will kind of look like maybe for me and some of the other ARCA teams in the garage. So hopefully it'll be a fun podcast tonight. And yeah, so just hope you join in tonight. We'll go through my little intro that I do at the beginning of every single podcast, and we will jump right into the action. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Startin Parker on Twitter, for all news, notes, and other occasional low-budget team stuff you guys seem to enjoy. We're just over 7,000 followers. So again, thank you for that support there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for all notifications so you guys never miss when I go live. We are getting close to 70. I wish we were at 7,500. I almost said my Twitter number again. But we're almost close to 3,000. We are just over 300 subscribers away from 3,000. So that is the next goal, obviously, that we are trying to reach. Haven't been bringing a whole lot of content to the channel lately. I know, it's just that time of year. Can't really do a whole lot of content with the car because we just winterized it. So I'm trying to bring out more content. I promise, guys, next year will be way more action-packed. We'll actually be doing stuff with the vintage car. We'll try to do some vlogs. It's hard to do vlogs at the track when you're a crew member and you kind of have to stay focused. So, but I'm trying to bring you guys more content than just the start and park qualifier stuff, which I know you guys enjoy. I want to bring you guys more than that. And of course, check out the Racing Experts for all NASCAR meet-related content, the official media platform of this podcast. And if you want to send a super chat to help support the show and help support my racing career, it's more than welcome. You don't have to, but if you want to, that'd be more than appreciated because it goes right into my racing fund. All right, so let's just start off with where we were going to originally cover a few weeks ago. The ARCA Menard Series main series division finale at Toledo. The ARCA Menard Series main division at Toledo had 25 cars, a very solid field size for that race. I think it's the highest since 2017, which it was. Coming into the race, I kind of figured it was going to be another 18-28 domination race. They seemed to have everybody's number at the short tracks. So I don't know if I had picked a winner for that race. Unshockingly, Max Reeves pretty much led every lap. There was a moment late in the race where it looked like Brendan Queen had the better car, roughed him up a little bit. I mean, it was hard short track racing. Got by him, led a lap, and then the 18 said nope, punted him going into turn one, giving him the lead. And I don't know if the tires got used up after that, but the 28 just could not catch him again. And Max Reeves cruised to another win. So JGR closes out the season with a win. Shockingly, JGR only won, looks like 6 races this year, which is actually, when you consider how strong the 18 car is, kind of shocking. That we only had 6 wins out of the JGR team this year. Tavares, how many Hot Wheels do I have? 200 probably total in the box, to answer your question. And so, yeah, only 6 wins for the JGR ARCA team in the main division, at least. Brendan Queen still finishes second. He locked up the Drivers' Championship, and Pinnacle Racing Group also locked up the Owners' Championship, too. So, that was a win for them. And success. Sucks for Gibbs. The Owners' Championship is really what they race for. They don't race for Drivers' Championships. They race primarily for the Owners' Championship, because I've said it many times on the ARCA podcast. That's really where the money is in ARCA. Not that there's a whole lot of money, but there is money to go around. and the Owners' Championship is what pays. So, in terms of the other results, you had Tristan McKee, who was in the 82 for the third time. He was third. Isabella Robusto and Tyler Reif closed out the seasons with top fives. Felt bad for Shane Backus and Presley Sora. They had issues. Really didn't even get to do much in the race. Shane didn't even start. Presley only ran 2 laps. They still had troubles with the car from Kansas. We had a few starting parks. I felt bad for LeVar Scott, not how he wanted to finish his season. He had completed every race, and unfortunately, the 2 DNFs he had in the year were the last 2 races of the year. So I really felt bad for LeVar Scott there, not the way he obviously wanted to end his year. I hope something comes for him for 2026. It was kind of a quiet secret in the garage that I had personally known about since, what was it? Probably race 18. Yeah, I'd known about it for a few weeks, but Rev Racing was going to close its doors at the end of 2025. Not just the ARCA program, but it looks like also the late model program as well. And that's really sad, man. Max Siegel, the Rev Racing team, they have been around for so many years, even going well back into the K&N series days. I remember meeting the Rev Racing, like, I don't know if you guys recognize these drivers, but like Sergio Pena, McKenna Bell, Jay Beasley, guys like that, guys and gals like that, the like OGs of Rev Racing. Obviously, didn't Bubba Wallace drive for them too? I'm pretty sure he did. But yeah, like a lot of OG people from Rev Racing. I have followed that team for a long time, man. So it's really sad to see that that team no longer going to be in the ARCA series next year. That's a big blow for the series. But yeah, I thought it was a solid way to end the year. Not an overly amazing race. Just kind of your standard ARCA race for the year. We did get our main series schedule out for 2026. If you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. Just wanted to preface that. Not too many changes to the ARCA Menard series main schedule. The finale is being moved back to Kansas. It is not going to be Toledo. Toledo will be placed in the early part of the season. Earlier part of the season. Watkins Glen obviously will follow the NASCAR division back in May now. Kansas will be moved to April, so it'll be before Talladega instead of after Talladega. No Charlotte, and I was told by Charlie Crawl himself, who works for ARCA, that was a financial issue, and that's all he was going to go into it. So it appears to be a financial issue for not having Charlotte back on the schedule. So that kind of sucks. I always enjoyed the ARCA cars at Charlotte. I thought those teams skewed those cars the way that those guys would, race those cars into the corner, man, out of control. I thought the ARCA Charlotte race was one of the better races of the year. So not having Charlotte back on the schedule, I hate that. I really do hate that. Rockingham did confirm that it will be back in the 2026 ARCA East calendar, so that's good to see that Rockingham will be back. I thought that weekend was so well received earlier this year, so it's really, really good to see that Rockingham is going to return. Other than that, not really many schedule changes. Some races were pushed there, some races were pushed here. But in terms of track changes and in terms of major schedule changes, nothing really out of the ordinary. And you really wouldn't expect that with the ARCA series. They're not going to add races. They're not going to take races away. We've hit our benchmark, 20 races. That's what the series is going to stay at. Now, we don't have the West Series or the East Series schedules yet. Hopefully we'll get those in the next coming weeks. I expect East to stay at the normal 8 races. I wish it had more, maybe a little bit more of a legitimate championship. West Series, their race count's fine. I just hope they can get more cars. I think that's the goal we all want for everybody, is the West Series to have more cars next year, of course. So, I said that kind of. We'll talk a little bit more about the main division in a second, but I want to now cover the West Series that I missed. They were at Madera, I believe that same weekend actually. It was the Trevor Huddleston show. He dominated that race. Unfortunately, there was not much Kyle Keller could do there. Still got a good run. Nonetheless, but unfortunately, the 71 trailed the 50 and did not gain any points when he really needed to. And then going into Las Vegas, the Bull Ring, which fortunately actually had one of the better car counts of the entire year, 21 cars, but also had some really shocking entry list notes. No 19 car. And that is, I believe, the first time that a Bill McAnally car had not been entered in an West Series race, going back to Winston West, Camping World West, K&N West, and then ARCA West, since like the mid-90s. So that was history. And we were confirmed. We were confirmed by Bill McAnally Racing that the 19 team will return next year. So it's not like the Bill McAnally operation is gone. They're just done for the year, and they're going to focus on the truck championships, which makes sense. And I wonder if it had something to do with the fact that at All-American, Jake Bowman grenaded the engine on lap 1. I'm not sure what happened there. But something happened and the 19 blew up on lap 1. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but yeah. Still had 21 cars, put on a very, very good race. Kyle Keller was up there battling. Him and the 50, though, they did get together, man, and I talked to a few people in the West Garage, and some were on the 50 side, some were on the 71 side. So it's definitely a pretty heated battle right now. Between the two teams. Nonetheless, Trevor Huddleston won again. Kyle Keller did not come out with a good finish in that race. And right now, going into the final ARCA Menard Series event of the year, Trevor Huddleston holds a 34-point gap over Kyle Keller. I don't think we're going to get more than 34 cars. We might get close to 30, but I don't see us getting 34 cars. So it's safe to say that Trevor Huddleston more than likely will win the championship this year, and the Huddleston operation will win the Owners' Championship as well. But take nothing away from the Jan's Towing operation. I mean, this team did not even exist a few years ago. This team really came into its own last year. I think they did 2022 or late 2023 is when I think Jan finally started to get going with the team. Ran full-time in 2024. Had to go through a few different drivers due to Nick Janitis' health problems. But they still did pretty well. And then they really came into their own this year, man. I mean, you look at the progress from 2024 to 2025 with the Jan's Towing operation. Night and day, man. They've been 2 races this year with both Kyle and Robbie. Although they might not get the championship, they have nothing to be sad about. Trevor Huddleston also has had a tremendous season. You can honestly say he is the rightful champion. So, Rubbin's racing. Sometimes you ain't all going to get along. But, nobody has anything to be ashamed of each other in terms of the West Series division right now. Like I said, Tanner Reif in third. Just kind of been a quiet year for him. Probably not the season that him or the Souza operation wanted. Robbie Keenley in fourth again. He's kind of a rookie. He's run a few races, but, I think he had a very respectable year. Eric Johnson Jr., I did expect a little bit more from him this year. I did. He did not like he did bad. Plenty of top 10s, plenty of top 5s. Like, he's run well. It's just, it's hard, it's hard to compete with, teams like Jan's Towing and, the Huddleston operation. So I still think Eric has had a successful year. It's just, obviously not getting into the win department has got to be frustrating. For the Strike Mamba team, Strike Mamba, it's their first full-time year in the series. I think just the fact that they're able to do all the races, no significant crashes, no big damage, and able to, Blake has done a solid job this year. He's finished all but one race. And I think in general that's an accomplishment for the team. I think they can look back on the season with a good accomplishment and take that momentum better into 2026 as well if they do plan on coming back. We don't know for sure if they are. I assume they are, but obviously we don't have 100% clarification on that. So, yeah, anyway, those were kind of the races that I missed. Obviously, we still got Phoenix to cover next week. We did get some slight insights to some of the entries. I do believe the 28 and the 18 are expected. I don't think Butterbean Queen is driving the 28. Max Reeves might be driving the 18. We do know that Isabella Robusto, we know her ride. She will be debuting a new team. I had it pulled up here. I did have it pulled up here. Yeah, here it is. Rafa Racing Team, a sports car team based in Texas, will be fielding an ARCA car for Isabella Robusto. Now, as far as we know right now, this is a one-off. Isabella is expected to drive full-time next year in the main division for Nitro Motorsports. So, as far as we know, this is just a one-off. Now, what this could lead for Rafa Racing next year, who knows? But either way, it's always good to see more ARCA teams coming into the sport. We do know that City Garage Motorsports will be running 2 entries full-time in the East Division next year. Becca Monopoly in the 85, and then Quinn Davis in the 5. So, good for City Garage. They got their plans together. You know, they had kind of planned a part-time season this year, but the fact that now they have their scheduled season set and ready to go this early allows them better time to prep. I think the short tracks are better for them right now to focus on, get their reps in, and then, you know, maybe in 2027 go on some of the bigger tracks. You know, not just Daytona. I'm talking like a Kansas or Michigan, something like that. So, and obviously the big story, Venturini Motorsports closing its doors after, the 1980s? I don't have the exact year written down. I thought I had it, but either way, they've been in business a long time. Big Bill's been around the block for a long time. He did a really, really great interview with Davey Segal, and, you know, he pretty much, the words that stuck out to me were, it's time. And I think you could make that argument. You know, Big Bill's in his mid-70s. You know, he's been doing this for so long, man. And even Big Bill has admitted on I think he made it on even a few podcasts in the past, he's not a personal fan of the pay driver stuff. Big Bill admitted that on a podcast. He liked giving drivers opportunities. But that's not the business model we're in nowadays with racing. It's just not. In higher up sports, it's all about the money. And that's the avenue that Venturini Motorsports and not just Venturini, many other organizations had to go to keep themselves in business. And obviously that's what Venturini Motorsports has done the last few years, is obviously through, you know, like I said, the pay driver system. That's what we call them, pay drivers, pay to play, pay to race. And so I always had that respect. I always had that respect for Bill McAnally. I always have respect for Bill McAnally, but Bill Venturini. Sorry, I got my Bills mixed up. I always had that respect for Bill Venturini. You know, he wanted to give drivers chances. He wanted to give these, you know, young kids a shot in top-tier ARCA equipment, especially when ARCA was, you know, wholly thriving with its fields back, you know, 10, 15 years ago. He gave people opportunities to show what they had, whether it's 1, 2 race, 3 race opportunities. He would give people the chance to show what they got. And it could lead to something in the future, or maybe it was just a few one-offs. And that's why I always had respect for Big Bill. And, you know, you just reach that age, man, where it's like, you know, you could keep going. I'm sure he could keep going. There's plenty of people who want to be, you know, driving racing, and, you know, plenty of people who could probably come into the ARCA series. So it's not like Venturini would be hurting for customers, but, you know, you just reach that point where it's, you know, it's just time to move on. And it's not shocking to me. You know, I'll miss seeing Big Bill in the garage. He always waved to me, always said hi. You know, I didn't want to bother him just because, you know, he was on his scooter driving around. But, man, not seeing Venturini at the ARCA garage next year, man, that's going to be weird. You know, as a guy who's worked in the series, you know, next year will be my 7th year working in the ARCA garage. It's going to be weird not seeing that giant V in the garage, or the, you know, the famous 20, 25, 15, stuff like that. Nitro Motorsports obviously taking it over. I know that team's going to do well. I would say they had a pretty successful season this year. Successful season. They won that big race at Berlin with Trayton Lapsevich. Had some really good runs. The second place with Andrew Patterson at Salem. The fifth place with Taylor Reimer at Kansas. So that team has nothing to hold themselves down about. I think they will be a force to be reckoned with next year. I do believe, like I said, Isabella Robusto is one of their drivers next year. I'm not sure who else will be driving full-time for them. Pinnacle Racing Group will be running 2 full-time cars. That was stated in other ARCA newsletters and announcements that they will be running 2 full-time cars next year. So that's good. It's good to know. Obviously, we know more than likely the JGR 18 car will be back. So it's not like the ARCA main event scene is going to be hurting. But it's just, man, not having that Venturini identity, man, that hurts. Because it's like, you think of you think of the Venterinis, Hillenbergs, Brad, and Wayne. Those are the first names that come to mind when you really think of the ARCA series. And not having one of those pillars there, it sucks. It really does suck. But, comes with the times. Brad's team's not going to be here forever. Wayne's team's not going to be here forever, and neither is Andy's. Stuff changes. People move on. So I just got to enjoy it while they're here. Enjoy it while they're here. So I had a list of notes. I can't seem to find them. Where'd my list of notes go? I had a list of notes, but apparently I can't find them. In terms of what I'm going to be doing next year, by the way, I'm happy to say that I finished 127th in points. Yes! 127th out of 143 drivers this year on the main ARCA division. So I wasn't last, everybody. 127th. Woo! I know that's nothing to celebrate, but come on, people. It's better than nothing. It's better than last. In terms of driving next year, I don't know. I put a lot of effort into getting that 86 ride ready. Had a great time with that. It still doesn't even feel real. Like going back and watching the race footage, and they lapped me a lot. It doesn't even feel. It didn't click to me like I'm in that car. I'm driving that car, and it's like sometimes I forget I even did it. Like I have to look back at pictures, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. It's just so surreal. So, will I be doing it next year? Iowa again. Who knows? I'd like to. Obviously, I'd love to. It's my home track. It's the only ARCA track I really care to run at. Obviously, with my vintage car, I'm going to put a lot of focus into that next year more. So, we'll see. We'll just see what comes. Obviously, it's not even 2026 yet, so it's just hard to speak on what potentially might happen. In terms of the series in general, I'll be at the Kansas tracks like usual. Obviously, Iowa. Would like to go to Watkins Glen. Would like to go, not to drive. I'd love to go drive, but in terms of just going there to see the place, maybe crew. Obviously, bring the vintage car. But yeah, I just wanted to catch up, guys, on this podcast for ARCA Menard series. We'll be doing a preview show next week for the ARCA Menard series West Race at Phoenix. And then, of course, that week after, we'll be doing the review show. And that'll be the final 2 ARCA Menard series podcasts of the year. We might do one more if the West and East series schedules come out before then. If not, we might just wait till next year. In terms of what the podcast might look like next year, I haven't really decided yet. I love doing this, folks. I really do. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll be honest with y'all. My life's gotten a lot busier. Personally and financially, my life has gotten a lot busier since I first started this podcast. So. And then you've seen this year I've had to, have gaps in doing the show just because I'm so busy. And so I apologize for that. But, next year I'll be evaluating whether we will be doing this show full time or not. I can't sit here and tell you right now that we will be doing the show full time next year, if at all. Just because I have a lot more, what I feel like to me is a lot more important things to do. Not that I don't enjoy doing this, but I just feel like there's more important things that I need to focus on with my life, my future, and obviously, if you know, if we can work it in, we'll work it in. But I just wanted to kind of set that precedent right now that I'm not sure what the future holds for this podcast. But you know, if the next two shows are the last two, I thank y'all for coming on the ride. And if we're still going to keep going in 2026, then I hope you all stay on the ride. So, but anyway, guys, I know tonight's podcast was not as long as it normally is, but I just kind of wanted to do a catch-up podcast. And just, you know, discuss the few races that I missed and some of the news and notes that have come out. So, but anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. Of course, check out everything else on the channel is what I'm trying to say, and we'll see you all for next week's live time podcast of the final ARCA Menard Series event of the season. And then, like I said, a few weeks away from our final show of 2025. So, give you all the goodbye salute. See you all later. Have a great rest of your Wednesday night. And, yep, see you all next week. Goodbye, guys.